everyone. Whoop, there we go. Hi. Welcome. So today, I was thinking about, there's just all this stuff about fears. And I have had the pleasure and honor of working literally with hundreds and hundreds of people around their fears. Like, this is such a big thing. And we get so many fears ingrained in us at such a young age. So there's a few things that I've learned along the way that I wanted to share. So first of all, if your fear is something you can fully cognitively process, that it's just like, oh, I have a fear to do a Facebook Live, or I have a fear to do a post on Facebook, or I have a fear to dance in front of people. Like, it's something like just fully cognitive. And there's no body sensations that go with it. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at. There's no body sensations that go with it. Hi, Sarah. Some things like dancing in front of people might have body sensations, like we might freeze. And oftentimes they do have body sensations. So if it's just strictly something in your head, that's actually a fear that we can probably overcome easier, I would say. For me anyway, it's easier because we can just tell ourselves, oh, I'm just going to do it anyway. Oh, who cares what I look like when I dance in front of people? So just we can tell ourselves a different story. So it's more around a story, and we can tell ourselves something different. And maybe it's just in small chunks, those kinds of things we can oftentimes overcome just by thinking a new thought. Or just by thinking about, what would that be like? What would that be like and feel like for me to dance in front of other people whenever I wanted to? And we could just use that to motivate us to do that because we want to have that feeling. We want to have that experience in our lives. So it's a very cognitive process to be able to do that. There are other fears in our lives that have a little bit of cognition and more body sensation. And then there are another layer of fears that are basically, you might relate to this. So I'm going to go more into this one right now, we freeze. We go into fight, flight, or freeze. So we have an automatic response to something. Someone does something and we respond without thinking about it. So it's outside of cognition and it's fully just a full body response. And I know like that might be related more to aggression or freezing, but I guarantee you with fight or flight or freeze, there's fear in there. And so one of the things that I've done with working with people with these kinds of fears is to be able to go into those body sensations. Like, that's really what you do. And you can do some of this by yourself, but I would not recommend it. Like, that's why the work that I do is really supports people to go into that while I'm there supporting that person, while I'm there letting them know, because what's happening is they're re-experiencing something when they were younger. They're re-experiencing something at the cellular level when they were scared and disempowered, and they couldn't do anything about it. And so the purpose of me in terms of supporting that person is to make sure they know I'm there so that they're not alone, because that's the other thing that comes up a lot, is that they feel alone in that experience. And so some of this is intense work, and part of what I want to say is to figure out how much of your fear is just a thought process that you could change really easily. And then how much of it is, because I know for myself and many, many other people, sometimes I have fears that they're fully in my body, but I have no idea what's going on up here. Like, there's no memory of something happening to me. There's no actual, I can't say, oh, I guess I have a fear of ghosts, or I guess I have a fear of talking to strangers. Like, I can't articulate it into a specific fear. But my body is sweating, it's frozen, it's shaking, it's just, I can't move, I can't talk, I can't process information, I get confused, like things are whirling around in my head. That's a sign that you're actually in fear. Because when we're in fear, our brain doesn't want us to think. Our brain wants us to react. Our brain wants us to go into fight, flight, or freeze. And so having confusion is a sign that we're afraid. And so what's one of the most important things you can do is to start to notice your body. Notice what's going on in your body and, and recognizing that you're having a fear response. So important. And then there's lots of things you can do. And most of the things I would recommend that you do is that you don't do them in isolation. You don't do them with someone. You could, one of the things I've also done that I find really helpful is that if you have a partner, if you have a caring adult around you who you can do this with, I love this actually, is that you can ask that person to come to you or go to that person and say, my body is frozen. I'm in freeze mode, or I'm in fight, or I'm in flight mode. If you're having an argument and you're being nonsensical, for example, I'm in frozen mode, I'm in freeze mode, I'm in fight mode. And it has more to do than what's happening right now. It has something to do with my past. Can you help me through this? And you can even say to them, just tell me, look at me in the eyes and tell me I'm safe. Convince me that there's nothing dangerous here happening right now. And work on that person relaxing their body and you relaxing your body in that moment when you're frozen. That's one way with a caring person, a caring partner. That's why in relationship, this can be so incredibly powerful. And then another thing that you can do, which I find super fun, and I do a lot with people, is if you're, say for example, you're frozen and you're noticing that moment, you have a caring partner, and I want to make sure I'm really clear too, it probably has nothing to do with what's happening right now in that moment that's causing you to freeze. It's just that the moment has triggered a past event in your neurobiology that's come up that is trying to react in that moment. That's really what's happening. So something else you can do is with that caring person, just tell them, I've been triggered. I'm trying to work on something from my past, so I have good reactions with you, good responses with you. But I can't do that right now. So can I just play through my reaction, what I want to do? Like, it's really, hi, Maria. And so this person has to be brave and smart and know you're a good person and super supportive and be willing to let you play out what you're playing out. And so one thing you can do is, hi, Sarah. One thing you can do is push against a wall. You can push against their hands and start to make noise. You can start to swear, make noise, just, rah, I can't believe yelling at the feeling that's going on inside of your body is another way to really, so the big thing is to push and to feel and to make noise and move your body. And you can just shake. You can push against the wall or push against this person and just shake your body. Just, I have no idea what this is. My God, I hate it. And just make a lot of noise. I know it sounds strange, but again, you've been triggered, and this neurobiological response doesn't have anything to do with now, and you're trying to actually complete something that happened before, or shed it or offload it, something that happened before. So those are a couple of amazing ways that you can work with a supportive person. And I think that one of the first steps, because this is so kind of out there and strange, like a lot of us don't work with our partners this way, is you can start having those conversations, like, hey, I'm learning more about triggers, and I would love if we could have a relationship where when I get triggered in something in the present moment, we can say to each other, we can finish that later, but let's work on the childhood trigger that's happening now so that I can have a better thinking response later with you about the current topic at hand. Because when we get triggered, we can't think. And so it's so powerful to be able to set aside the current moment and work on something from our past so that when you come back to the present moment of what the original trigger was, you can actually think well about it. Super powerful work and an amazing way to work on fears. And just remember that every emotion we have has a way it leaves our body. And fear has lots of ways it leaves our body. It leaves our body through sweat, through shaking and trembling. Like, we all know this, right? Sometimes our sweat is cold and clammy. If it's a little bit less fear, it's going to be hot sweat. So there's different kinds of sweat even. And if we're so afraid, like deadly afraid, we might even evacuate our body. So we might even, urinate, we might defecate, we might throw up. That's significant fear. Those are actually okay things to do. And most of the time people don't have those responses, but shaking and sweating, making noise, screaming, right? And I would make sure it's a guttural, deep kind of scream, just ah, and that you feel it in your body, are amazing ways to get rid of a fear that you've been carrying with you that you don't even understand, because it's one that's not in your head. But the partner listening to you and knowing that you're a good person and not reacting to what's happening in the moment is key to this process. So I hope you can experiment with this and start to take some steps with another caring adult who can help you work through some of your fears, because this is such powerful work. And I've done this work for years and years, and I belong to a community of hundreds and hundreds of people. And this is a big piece of the work that I do with as a parenting consultant as well, so that when we get triggered by our children, we can release things and then we respond differently to our children. And it has worked and worked and worked over and over again, and I have my own experiences. So I am excited for you to try this, and I would love to hear, what comes up for you when you hear this, actually. Like, are there some fears that come up for you? Are there some challenges that come up for you? Are you excited to try it? Do you see a little place in your life that you might be able to take a little step forward, even just by having a conversation? So let me know your thoughts about this. And I so appreciate you being here today. So I just hope you have a beautiful, amazing day. Bye.